Hello, YouTube. It is Chris Fox.
And Textbox.
And we're back from New York. The Nintendo World Store, midnight Nintendo World Store Switch launch. It was crazy. It was awesome. We're listening to Zelda in the background, if you can all hear that. And it's just a great soundtrack, honestly. It came out of the collector's edition. And so far, the game is awesome. Textbox hasn't had much time to play yet.
I haven't had any time to play it.
Oh, I played it a little bit. Honestly, I'm probably like an hour, maybe 2 hours ahead. So I haven't had a lot of time to play it. But so far, like some of the things that impressed me the most have been like how fluid it is and how fast it runs, and then also how, and of course how beautiful it looks. It's like the sky, like looking up at the sky, it's like all painted. It's like a pretty painting almost.
But it's not like Skyward Sword watercolor type style.
Yeah, it's not like Skyward Sword. Like, this is what I wanted Skyward Sword to look like.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't do that. But other than the soundtrack, I mean, you guys could go check out our videos. We did the unboxing video. It's kind of in our What I Picked Up This Week series.
Huge what I picked up this week.
It's huge. We got so much stuff.
We're very broke.
We went to the Nintendo, obviously went to New York City, which is thousands of miles away from us. So we flew there for the midnight launch of the Switch. We got to meet, CND and Triforce, and I've talked to a bunch of other cool gamers out there. And it was a blast. We had a lot of fun. But the biggest thing was that I liked was, like, luckily Textbox and I, we were just hanging out in the store, and I ran into Doug Bowser, the VP of Sales and Marketing for Nintendo. If you remember back to the DS days, like when the original DS came out, and the DS Lite and the Wii, when all this stuff was coming out, Reggie was not the president of Nintendo of America yet. He was the senior VP of Sales and Marketing. So Doug Bowser is Reggie's old job. Like, that's who took his old job when he got promoted to president. So we met the potentially next president of Nintendo at some point. Who knows how long Reggie would ever be around, or...
Yeah, and it was also strange that Reggie wasn't there.
Yeah, and Reggie wasn't there. I'm surprised because, okay, so Reggie, he's known to go to New York. He's known to do all the New York launches for the Nintendo systems. He's also known to, like, he's on Jimmy Fallon showing off the Switch. So I'm like, he's going to be there. He's already in New York.
But Jimmy Fallon was in Florida.
Yeah, but that doesn't really have anything to do with Nintendo's launch, though.
I know.
But like, if John Cena could make it, like, John Cena was there.
Yeah, but no one saw him.
But it's kind of dumb that Reggie wasn't there. Now so Textbox and I went in about noon on Friday. So first of all, we were there for the midnight launch. We got the hat, we got the release goodies, all that stuff. But then we decided, because we wanted to see what was going on at the front of the line, we decided to give up our spot in line and go to the front to watch the event. Because I'm like, if Reggie's going to be there, whatever. Unfortunately, though, Reggie didn't show up. Doug Bowser came in his place, basically, and he's like, hey, I just want everyone to know, hey, I'm going to be giving out the first Switch. So the guy that you saw in the pictures was CND giving out the first Switch. If you guys have been paying attention, he's Doug Bowser.
And we were, like, literally behind the guy taking the pictures. If you'll see on Twitter, handing out the first Switch.
And actually, I took a couple that I'll put on our podcast here. A couple of these pictures of the line, and I'll just throw these up while we're something for you guys to look at while we're talking here. But
so we met Doug Bowser in the store.
But yeah, so it was like noon the next day, and we just were like, hey, let's go to the Nintendo store, because what else is there to really do right now? And Textbox and I are like, let's go see how long the line is. And it wasn't that long. It was like maybe 40 people. No, I'd say about 50 people in front of us.
We waited for about a half hour.
I'd say, yeah, it was probably 25 minutes. Because, so they would let 20 people in the store at a time. And I'm like, there's no way they have Switches left. After, there was literally like, I would guess that there was 700 people in line.
Yeah, easily.
At this Switch launch, maybe more.
And it went well until they closed at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and they only stayed open till 4. So, we went the next day at noon. Randomly, I'm like talking to this guy in front of me, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get a Switch. He had it pre-ordered, I didn't. Obviously, we're from Minnesota, so we didn't have a pre-order in New York. I went in. They let us in finally after about 20 minutes. Went upstairs. I'm like, can I get a Switch? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, sweet. So I got a Switch. I'm like, can I get Zelda? And he's like, yeah, which one do you want? I'm like, the collector's edition. I was thinking about getting the Masters one, but because they did have them. But I was like, you know what? I can't get the Masters edition. It's too big. I couldn't fit it on the plane. And I really, if it would have came with more than just the statue of the sword, I would have been a little more interested in it. But that statue is going to sit on my shelf and get dust. Collect dust. But anyway... So I check out, and I got all the amiibo and all that stuff, and I check out, and I go downstairs, to the first floor, and Textbox still upstairs bringing up his stuff, and I'm just looking around, and then like Doug Bowser just walks in the front door of Nintendo World Store, and I'm like, holy shit, I think that's Doug Bowser. What is he doing? Why is he here? Like, this is so random. I know he gave out the first one last night, but then kind of disappeared. So, so what I did was, I like watched him talk to some people, and then I followed him upstairs, and that's when I took this picture, I'll just put it up right now, of him playing 1-2 Switch with some lady. They were doing the draw game that they had on demo there. And I talked, so, and then after that, she like left because she was like kind of a mom or something buying stuff for her kids. But, after she left, I'm like, hey, are you Doug Bowser? And he's like, yeah, it's me. And I'm like, oh, hey, I'm Chris Fox, and he's like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And I'm like, it's great to meet you. And I talked to him a little bit about the store, the Nintendo World Store. And I told him I love it, and he's like, what do you like about it? And what he told me how he, like, helped come up with the plans on how to make it modular and, like, so that they could do tournaments there and stuff like that. And then I talked to him a little bit about, how I wish that they would put more of those Nintendo stores places, and I'm like, a perfect place would be Mall of America because we have a Disney store, we have a Lego store. Rockefeller Center has those two things as well, like they have the Disney store right down the block, they have the Lego store right in Rockefeller Plaza, they have GameStops, and then they have Nintendo World Store on Rockefeller Plaza as well. So like I was like, the perfect spot would be the Mall of America. It's right in the middle of the country, where millions of people go every year. It's the biggest mall in America. More people visit Mall of America than any other mall in the whole USA. So I told him, hey, that'd be a great place. And he's like, that's actually a good idea. I'll have to, think about that, is kind of what he said. And then, yes, Cynthia Gordon was there too. So she's like Cynthia. The PR... She's like the PR lady. Yeah. I didn't get a picture of her, but that's because I thought, okay, so I'm dumb. I thought she was like his wife or something.
I thought it was just some lady.
Or she was just working there or something. But
they showed up.
She was there to with John Cena.
They were in Central Park doing an event. And they showed up on that Twitch bus, or not, the Switch bus.
Yeah, the Switch bus.
This big red bus.
Which I took a picture of too. I'll just put that up.
Double-decker, had a big screen TV on the side.
So that pulled up when we were in line outside at noon. And I'm like, what's going on? And we're talking to this guy in front of us, and he's like, yeah, John Cena's here. And I'm like, what? So I'm like inside, and I'm talking to Doug Bowser. I'm telling him, here's all my wish list for Nintendo. I told him I'm super excited for Mario Odyssey, and of course, I don't know, we just talked about random stuff. Minnesota, we talked about, he's been here, Minneapolis.
He really likes the music scene.
So we just kind of talked, and it was cool. And then I'm like, hey, can you sign my Nintendo? So he signed my Switch, which was sweet, and he signed Textbox's Zelda. So I'll put that picture up too. just do a little spin reel, I guess, of all this stuff for you guys to see. But it was just an awesome, what a cool, memorable event. Like, we were kind of disappointed with the midnight launch because, first of all, Reggie didn't show up. Second of all, the line, it literally took like 4 hours. It was super cold. The wind was just blowing. And it took like 4 hours for us to just get a wristband and the Nintendo Switch hat. Which was sweet, because I'm like, sweet, we got a Nintendo Switch hat from the midnight launch of the Switch in New York. It's the only place that they were giving them, as far as I know.
But then the wristband didn't even guarantee a spot in line.
Yeah, so we left. We got food. I'm like, you know what, Textbox, let's just go back tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, I suppose. So we went back right in the morning. 9 a.m. the store's gonna open. We went at like 8:30. The line was like all the way down the whole block again. I'm like, jeez Louise. So we went and got some breakfast, and we went and did some sightseeing. Came back at noon, and that's when all this happened. So it was just a sweet, very memorable event. Like, I was, I'm a huge Nintendo fanboy, so I guess you could say I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna meet somebody on a Nintendo that's like famous, and he actually is important.
And he turned out to be pretty cool.
He was cool.
It was a huge morale boost. We were kind of like,
because we were like, we came all the way here, and why isn't Reggie here? They brought this other guy that no one really cares about. But like, now I'm thinking about it, like I would almost bet that this is kind of Reggie like, hey, I need to hand this stuff off to him, because
delegating it.
Reggie did all this stuff when he was the senior VP. So, like, this was his job.
But it was strange. Reggie wasn't really anywhere for the midnight launch.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, so in California, they had some of the game developers, some of Zelda's developers in LA giving out Switches and Zelda and stuff at GameStop in LA. That's where they've done other launches before, like a couple of their other big ones. And then sometimes they'll do it at Toys R Us, or sometimes they'll do it at Best Buy. And what's kind of funny, I think I talked to Doug Bowser a little bit about Best Buy too, and how I'm like, there's all sorts of stores around here, but no Reggie at all. And he did, like, right when he got off the
Switch
stepped
bus?
out of the truck that he was in. No, on the midnight launch.
Oh,
right when he stepped out of the truck, he was like, I just need to clear something up. I'm going to be giving out the first Switch, I thank you guys so much. Zelda's got the best reviews of any game, second best reviews of any game of all time right now on Metacritic. And I'm like, that's something to really be proud of, actually.
To boast about, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. But it was kind of one of those, like, how lucky was that? And it was cool because there were only 20 people allowed in the store at a time. And it just so happened that we went upstairs, our 20 people went upstairs, everyone checked out, got their stuff. I stayed in the store just for a little while longer, just kind of looking around, and he walks in and goes upstairs, so there's no one up there except for this lady, me, and Textbox, and Doug Bowser. So I'm like, we're going to talk to him, and then he just disappeared after that. So, like, we were the only people who actually got to kind of just BS with him without all the craziness of the midnight launch. Because I'm sure, on the midnight launch he was just smiling, signing autographs, and saying hi. I actually got to sit here and chat with him for about a good 20 minutes or so about Nintendo and
marketing things, ideas.
Because that's what I went to school for, was business and management, and that's kind of what that's what Reggie, and that's what all these Nintendo executives went to school for. So when I talk to him, I don't like to talk to him like, hey, my favorite game is fucking Zelda. I don't like freak out, but instead I'm like, hey, it's great to meet you. Like, this is an honor to actually meet you, and I envy the position he's in, because obviously, as a kid growing up, I always wanted to work at Nintendo. I obviously never really tried or pursued that, and I don't think I would in the near future. But if I ever did pursue it in the future, that is like the type of team I'd be working on is his type of team, because I went to school for business. So that's kind of why, like, when I talk, I don't talk an artard, if that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
don't talk like a GameStop customer. I talk like hey, have you been to Minneapolis? And that kind of stuff.
He's a real person. He's not a video game.
And he's not just Nintendo PR. Like he is Nintendo PR because that's his like ultimate he is like the god of PR at Nintendo.
But we can find any information like that about him anytime online.
Yeah.
But I want to be talking to him in person, like a real person.
Kind of like if I met even if I met somebody famous, I think I'd still do the same thing. Like somebody like actually famous. Like if I saw Louis on a bus, I'd be like, "Hey Louis," I'd be like, "It's cool to meet you. It's like an honor to meet you, but how's your kids?" Like that's what I'd probably say. I'd be like,
"How's your fucking kids?
How are your fucking dumb kids? Did you throw them out of a fucking balcony yet? I don't know." Anyway, that was amazing. Definitely the highlight of our whole trip. And it just kind of happened like how lucky, because we were like the only people there who really truly traveled there to do that, and we told him that too, and he was like, "Really, you guys came here for this?"
And probably
that's awesome.
Probably the farthest away of most people.
Yeah, like I don't think I actually got a street pass from somebody from Minnesota while we were there, which was interesting because I'm like, I wonder who that is. But other than that, everyone else is like New York or
Boston
New Jersey
or something close.
Yeah, there were a couple that were a little further away, like Boston, but it's still like you can take a train there,
Yeah.
or you could just hop on a bus and be there in 3 hours. So it's not like you got on a plane and you spent your whole day flying to New York, and then you got a hotel for 5 days, and then you slept none. And then you went to this launch and were super disappointed by it. Because there was no event. The event was, we're going to hand out the game. We're going to hand out the system. And there's going to be a giant Mario.
And there was some, Target red carpet, old rugs from Target or something.
And there was no Reggie.
There was a velvet rope.
There was no, music and stage and all that stuff. There was none of that.
They started setting up, next to the building, they started setting up police barricades for this
John
big
Cena.
event. Yeah. And then
the next day, though.
The next day it happened, and the barricades were gone by the time we even got there. So
yeah, it didn't make
sense. We didn't
sense.
even know what happened.
But what's weird, so all this stuff, there was not, I was happy to be there. I was happy to still experience it. But walking away from that, I'm like, gosh, this was a pretty bad event. Go look at the Wii U event. There was a stage. There was Mario, Luigi, fucking Reggie on stage dancing.
Tons of music.
Yeah, Mii's with big fucking weird heads and shit.
Weird announcements.
And yeah, and there was all this stuff going on. And then for whatever reason this year, they were like, none of that. And I'm like, what? And the thing was empty. The part where it's literally, you can't drive there because it's blocked off with giant, huge posts.
Concrete pylon things.
Yeah, concrete. Yeah, so you can't drive on that block anyway, and they just left it empty. You could have done a setup. You should have done a setup. There were more people than the Switch there, or than the Wii U there, for the Switch.
Yeah.
And there were people there that were like, I don't really play video games that much, but I'm gonna get it because it looks awesome. And it's that's so weird. They're waiting for hours for this thing.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of moms, parents, just people walking by. Hey, what is going on? What's this big line for?
Yeah.
Oh, what Nintendo? Switch? What's that?
And actually, it's kind of funny. So, I don't know if you knew this, but Textbox, but on my way upstairs, I ran into that Rachel girl that was on
Rachel Ray?
No, her name's Rachel.
Rachel
She's got
from Friends?
7,000 subscribers now.
Oh, Asian?
No.
I don't know.
You don't know her, I don't think.
No.
But she's just she's a YouTuber, and I ran into her, and she was like, I was like, you didn't get it at the midnight launch? Because I thought for sure she would. She was in a lot of CND's videos.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I couldn't. I had school and stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, duh.
Because she lives here, she still has school and job.
Yeah, she's still she's 16. So
Really?
she doesn't. Yeah. So
So she doesn't have a job. She just does YouTube and lives with her mom.
Yeah, exactly. But I ran into her, and I'm like, "Hey, I follow you on Twitter and stuff, and I watch some of your videos," and then I forgot to tell her, "Hey, Doug Bowser's upstairs. You should go see him." But I didn't, so I'm sorry. And so I guess that was mean. But that was kind of another cool thing. Like, I saw a lot of people there that were YouTubers, and like, then I'm like, I swear that guy's on YouTube.
And just everyone walking around with big cameras and fancy mics.
Which was kind of fun. But I don't really care about YouTubers, honestly. I really don't. But
yeah, they get too big-headed right away. A little obnoxious and whiny.
And honestly, my big thing. See, I was there. I've been on YouTube for like 10 or 12 years now. I don't even know how long, but I've been on there since like before unboxings were a thing, and like before like smartphones were huge, and like I got my first iPhone. Like, I got the first iPhone before YouTube. Like, I started YouTube like 5 years before that, before the first iPhone came out. So like, it wasn't even a huge thing yet, but now these YouTubers are like, "Oh, I'm super famous. I'm more famous than Brad Pitt. He can suck my balls." And it's like, and they're kind of annoying, you know? So I didn't really congregate with anyone from the YouTube community much. I went and talked to Triforce a little bit, but actually I talked more to the people around those guys, because they were the ones that were like, to me, even more diehard Nintendo fans, and like, more interesting.
They were still modest enough to, like, ask where we came from, and they were really interested in learning about us and talking about games.
And like Triforce now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, they're so humble and they're so nice and everything." I'm sure they are, but like CND
is not.
He had no time to talk to anyone, because I'm sure everyone just wanted to talk to him, which is fine. I kind of planned on that anyway. I was like, okay. And he wasn't in the line like I thought when I got there. He was totally not in the line, and I'm like, of course he's not. He's just walking around doing nothing.
Yeah, even when we were all lined up waiting for wristbands, he was still like, walking around lines.
Yeah. And then Triforce is just kind of hanging out in Starbucks when we went there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I think he was editing videos and stuff.
Yeah, he was just kind of chilling, and he was pretty nice. I got to talk to him a little bit, and I shook his hand, and I told him I was Chris Fox off YouTube, and, you know, I've tweeted a few times. He's liked some of my tweets and stuff, but I don't think he's ever followed me or anything.
No,
I don't really care. But it was kind of cool though, because to me he was the cool, like, modest one, and you know what my favorite part about this whole thing was, I think, other than the Doug Bowser. So CND, he would never watch this because he doesn't have enough time. But I got to ask him how he felt when we all found out at the same time that Reggie wasn't going to be there.
We saw his face when he learned
him,
the
like,
news.
Just, and I'm like, "So hey, can you comment on how that makes you feel?" And he's like, "You know, I didn't expect anything, and it's always been about the community." And I'm like, that's a good thing to say, but
it sounds kind of scripted.
You're totally disappointed.
Yeah.
It's always been about the community, and he was I could just tell he was so sad. But I asked Triforce the night before. I'm like, "Hey man, what happens if Reggie doesn't come?" He's like, "Well, he's never done a no-show before." And so I don't know, but he could just not come. We never know.
Yeah.
And he said he never knows, but he's got the game from Reggie. He's got the systems from Reggie so many times.
He was just really willing to pass on the torch, and that's why he gave C&D this opportunity.
And I did find out that he did get the Switch from one of the guys that was in the front.
Okay.
He got it. He gave it to him. He didn't get one. The guy that was in the front didn't get one. he gave him his.
Okay, yeah, because when C&D was about to go in and get his, Triforce just kind of started walking towards Starbucks. And we were like, hey, aren't you going to get one?
So I grabbed Triforce, and I'm like, what's going on, man? Why aren't you getting a Switch? And he's like, he didn't really say much. He kind of said, yeah, it's not something I need to buy right now. He's like, I need to save my money and stuff, and I could just kind of tell he has like his own personal values that go far beyond like someone else will buy it for me.
He isn't expecting that.
Yeah, he just wanted, like, he doesn't like it when people do that. I could tell. He doesn't like when people give him money. He doesn't like when people offer
He's
stuff.
a little too proud.
Yeah, exactly. But he also doesn't have a lot of money because
he traveled farther than us.
He like fucking stands in line for Nintendo instead of working. You know, like, so, and he doesn't have a lot of subscribers, so he doesn't make a lot of ad revenue and stuff either. So so I just was chatting with him a little bit, and that's when the Etika or whatever that guy's name, I think that's his name, showed up, and he was like, hey man, let's go over here, and they went over to Starbucks, and I was like, and that guy's annoying as hell. I'm not gonna
taller
lie.
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that looks like Will Smith but younger.
Oh yeah, that was bothering me. I was like, oh my god, is that Will Smith?
No.
And every time I saw him, I was like, oh, it's Will Smith. Yeah. I'm like, no, it's not. When I heard him talking, I was like, nah, he wasn't rapping.
He wasn't cool like Will Smith.
But then they were also going around. C&D's posse was going around the line while we were trying to just wait in line quietly, and they would start chanting these really annoying
Joy-Con
football
boys
type chant, and it was so stupid.
And then the guy behind us just happened to have a Joy-Con Boys shirt on. And I'm like, why does he have that shirt on? Oh my god. And of course they see it and they're like, oh, and they're freaking out, and we're like behind them. And I'm like trying to hide from this. And
they were like,
C&D's like live streaming this, and Etika's like posting it on his vlog. And I think I'm going to be in one of C&D's videos though.
Me too.
Because he was walking and I gave him a high five in the line. And then I missed. And he gave me another high five. And I'm like, okay.
That was a little funny.
It was kind of funny, and so maybe that'll be in there. I don't know, but that's where we were in line, was that far back. So if you guys ever get to see his video, like, you'll see where we are, because we were really far back, and that's why we were like, you know what? Let's just give up our spot. We were around the store,
the third side, like not the front side, not around the corner, the back
other side. Yeah. So we were like, let's just go. And we went to the front of the line and we did all this.
Then we went and got ramen.
And then we ate a lot of ramen, which was really good. If we're going to review something, let's review that ramen shop.
Yeah.
Right across the street from Nintendo World Store, New York. It's awesome. It says grand opening, but I think it's been open for a while because this stuff's
I think it was since like September or October of 2016, because that's when their certificate was dated.
Oh, so they still have the grand opening sign up like 6 months later. But other than, we went and saw sites too in New York. That's kind of boring to talk about on a video game podcast, though. But you know what, we did, and that was fun. I personally, I don't foresee myself going to New York again, unless there's like a huge event.
And it's a lot nicer weather.
Like,
we have more money.
Even like New York Comic Con, I don't know if I'd want to go to that. I'd rather go to San Diego Comic Con, personally. But we also got, so let's talk about Switch a little bit now. We're gonna switch gears.
Switch it up.
We're gonna switch it up. We're gonna 1-2 switch right now, and let's talk about Switch and our first impressions with it, because we both have had some first impressions now.
Well, I think when you first unboxed yours, I was really jealous, and I was like, oh, I wish I had something to unbox, because I didn't want to take my Zelda out of the box yet, because I didn't have a Switch and I had to get it home. But I was like, oh man, the Joy-Cons look like, we got the multicolored blue and pink, reddish neon ones, and the color's a lot better in person than in the pictures, I think. And definitely the textures and feels of them are a lot more satisfying.
I was happy to so going back, I guess now I'm going to jump back to Nintendo World Store. But I was super disappointed that we couldn't play this Switch, because we got there
and they had it blocked off.
The day of the Switch, they blocked the day before the Switch came out.
They even blocked off part of the stores.
No. It was the day that the Switch came out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just blocked all the demo kiosks off, and I'm like, great. Now I can't see anything. I can't do a walkthrough. I can't do a tour. They blocked off half the freaking store. Like, all the displays were blocked off. All the demo units for no reason.
In the history of consoles, areas blocked off.
Yeah, for no reason. Like, it was. I know what the reason was. They didn't want people from the line coming in and just playing the games all day. That's why.
Yeah.
But the thing is they would have to stand out there in line anyway, or else they'd lose their spot. It sucks because so we went there. We wanted to try it. I'm like, sweet, at least we get to try it. And then we couldn't. So the first time I actually got to even try the Switch was like my own Switch.
Yeah.
The day after it came out, 12 hours later, then everyone else got it.
In the hotel room, not on a big TV.
Yeah.
Just
on my gamepad.
You just popped open that kickstand, set it on the counter.
Yep. Because I couldn't get it hooked up to the damn TV in the hotel either.
Or the internet.
And the internet didn't work. Because the Nintendo Switch needed an update to get the capability to put the web browser on there to confirm the internet settings at the hotel. So we had to go to Starbucks, which is the one that,
It was right across the street from the Nintendo store anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, the one that they just opened, that Triforce and C&D were hanging out at the whole time.
So we went to the Nintendo store probably like 10 times at least.
I got like 8 bags at home from Nintendo store, and I gave one away. So like,
it only took 5 minutes to walk there from Hotel St. James where we stayed, so that was pretty nice.
Yeah, it was very close. It was about a third of a mile, not quite a third of a mile, a little less than a third of a mile. So I think it was 8 minutes, right? To walk there.
About.
It took, so we literally spent like 4 hours walking to Nintendo Switch. No, I'm just kidding. But for real though, we probably went there, I'd say at least. We probably walked by the store at least like 12 times.
Yeah, because we had to walk by to get to the NBC building and Times Square.
Oh no, I just meant like
things.
with the intent to go there, but then the line was too long, so we came back.
Yeah.
Like we did that like at least
attempts.
5 times, I'd say.
Okay.
And then we went there again, and we're like, oh, I want to get something else in the store. But we went there, and we're like, hey, if we're not buying a Switch or anything, can I just go in and buy a bag, or can I go in and buy a fucking shirt? And they're like, no,
you gotta wait in line.
And it's like, I'm not gonna wait an hour because so the miraculous thing is when we went at noon that day, that was the shortest I ever saw the line. Like, ever.
And then right when we went in and decided to stand there, then like tons more people started piling up behind us.
It was like 2 minutes after we started standing there, there was probably like another 100 people behind us. So somehow we just, it was like fucking Moses parting the Red Sea, and it's like, Chris Fox and Textbox, you get your Switch now! And it was crazy. But Textbox couldn't because he already had a Switch paid off with credit at GameStop.
And I didn't have enough money.
Yeah, so since he didn't have any money for that, he couldn't get it right away.
So I just got the special edition Zelda, got that signed, and then I just picked mine up tonight. And when we got back to Minnesota and installed everything, spent like 40 minutes trying to get my Nintendo Network money transferred.
It's kind of awesome, like, so thinking about all the people, all the thousands of people, like literally probably a couple thousand people who shuffled through that store, that we were able to get in the quickest, meet Doug Bowser, and then get a Switch. And we got all the amiibos. We got all the controllers we wanted. They were like, you can get literally whatever you want. And I'm like, this is awesome. So we got everything we needed.
We got some special edition shirts and
the limited edition art cells.
Art cells.
there was only 1,000 of those made, especially for the launch of Zelda and Switch at Nintendo New York only. So we got those as well. I should have had him sign that because that would have been kind of cool too. But it was a blast. We had fun. I got some interesting pictures. But really, it wasn't even. I didn't even take that many pictures. I mostly just enjoyed the moment, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I'll have a story to tell, and it was. We were gonna leave, and when we were leaving, I was like, before I got my Switch and before we met Doug Bowser and stuff, I felt like, God, dude, there's something missing about this trip.
Yeah.
Like the whole time, like this. We
were just gonna get back here to our home state and be disappointed.
And just be like, oh, well, we went to New York. That was cool. We saw the Empire State Building and we saw the World Trade Center holds and the new one, and and the Statue of Liberty and all that. So we did see all that stuff, which was cool. And I wanted to go to New York anyway, but I needed an extra reason. Like I needed because I wanted to go on a vacation anyway. That was the thing. I wasn't just like, oh, I'm gonna go to New York just for Nintendo Switch and then go home. But I needed to justify it a little more than I want to go sightseeing, because personally I'm more of a scenic kind of guy. Like seeing the amazing work that humans have done to create that city and like how huge it really is and how big and how many people there really are. It's impossible to understand until you actually go there.
Yeah, and some of my favorite scenery I saw there was actually when we were on the shuttle bus going to or from the airport, and you could see that really nice skyline over the river.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to see, what we've done, what we've accomplished as humans. But it's just one city. There's many cities like New York out there. There's bigger cities than New York. L.A. is, I mean, more populated than New York. Chicago is technically more dense than New York, and Vancouver is the most dense, and that's in fucking Canada, is the most dense in the whole entire this hemisphere, or whatever, this side of in all of North America. So what's crazy is seeing that was awesome. So don't get me wrong, that's awesome. But I've been to Chicago. I've been to places like this where I'm like, we live near Minneapolis, which is definitely a small, tiny fraction of what New York really is. But you still get the atmosphere. You still get the feeling of it. So we went for that extra special thing, and we didn't get it until that day. And once that happened, I was like, dude, this was worth it. That was awesome. I can't believe we got our Switches. I got mine. And I can't believe we got Zelda. And we got all the amiibos, which was awesome because I was worried about getting those. And we got autographs, and we got to talk to Doug Bowser. No one else did. We were the only people who actually got to sit there and actually have a chat. So I was super, giddy, whatever you want to call it. But we also got some really sweet merchandise there. I got 3 Nintendo World Store shirts. 2 of them are Zelda shirts. One is a Star Fox shirt, and then I got one that's just their logo. I wanted a hoodie that said Nintendo New York, but they didn't have any. They only had them for women, which sucks. But that's alright. This hoodie that I did get, the Nintendo New York Zelda shirt, is actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, I definitely like it a lot.
Textbox and I both got that one. But other than that, I mean, we had a lot of fun playing the Switch so far. 1-2 Switch is probably the worst game I've ever played so far, and I've only played it for
should have been free
3 minutes. But yeah, it should have been free. It really should have. It should have been a download game on the Switch. It shouldn't. It's
basically the Wii Sports.
It really is that. And you have to play 2 players, so you can't play by yourself at all. There's not a lot of substance to it. I feel like it's just let's play the games. And it's well, what? How do you win?
Is there high scores? What?
No, you just play the game.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of like, ugh.
It's kind of like if everyone's really drunk, and then I still wouldn't want drunk people playing my Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it being fun, like, if you're wasted, but then it's like, oh, do I really want to get that out while we're all wasted? Even though I think about 95% of the time, my Switch will be docked on my TV. Yeah. It's gonna be like 95, like, it's gonna be those rare occasions where I'm like, I'm going to New York, so I'll bring this with then.
Yeah, maybe 1% of the time it'll leave my house. And then half that percent will be going to your house.
And the only other time that I would on-dock to play would be like, I'm going to go to bed, but I want to play this in bed. Or I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I really want to keep playing this part. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's no other real reason to undock the thing. Especially because, like, the Pro Controller is so good.
Oh, I love it.
It's so much better than... It's so much better than Joy-Cons. So, it's... the Joy-Cons, to me, they're not bad. They're not. I need that dedicated, like, D-pad and that...
Heavy.
And like, the...
well-constructed feeling.
Yeah, the more ergonomic feeling of a controller.
And it comes with its own Type-C power cable that you plug into the USB port on the Wii, or not the Wii,
on the
Switch
dock.
And then once you just plug it in, it syncs.
Yeah, it's weird because I haven't tried charging my Switch with just the cable, the Type-C cable, but I've heard that doesn't work. Textbox did try tasting the game cartridge, though.
It didn't taste as bad as everyone's freaking out about.
Yeah, it tastes about... I don't know, I haven't tasted it.
It just kind of tastes like old plastic, maybe. Maybe like a garbage can type plastic. Like, not a dirty one, a fresh garbage can, but it's still a garbage can.
Yeah. I still don't want to taste it. I don't know, I just...
Maybe a little bit like old tires?
Okay, when I opened mine, it smelled worse than I think it tastes. But it smelled really...
I don't think mine smelled that bad.
Yeah, maybe mine would taste way worse than yours then. For some reason, mine smelled really bad in the hotel. Yeah. If you guys go watch our unboxing video for Zelda, it smelled pretty bad. I was like, why does this smell so bad? I thought there was a fart in the room or something, but...
And there probably was, but it was definitely the case.
It was the case. Like, it was like I cracked that case, that seal, and I was like, oh!
Not a new game smell.
Yikes. I was like, ouch. It hurt my nostrils. But, I'm looking at Walter White over here, figuring, I'm like, I wish I had that mask when I was opening that. But, the big thing is, like, the Switch is out now. Our trip is over. I feel like it's like, this is going to kind of close up the podcast part that we've been on, like, this chapter of our podcast, and it will continue with more, like, obviously Switch news and more of our impressions and stuff, and of course anything we might have forgot about.
We might stop talking about ourselves as much and start, looking forward to the future things and just current things, more reviews, what I picked up. Definitely going to share a friend code video for the Switch.
Yeah,
since they use such weird friend codes again.
Why did they fucking do friend codes again? How come I can't just type Lakitu and then add... No, you can't do that anymore. Now you need to type 432284771066.
Yeah, it's longer than a phone number.
Yeah, gosh. So, Nintendo, okay, here's what you were doing. You were like, friend codes. And people were like, duh, that's stupid, the Wii, it doesn't work. So then on the 3DS, you're like... here's a little bit better friend code system. And you're like, because it was like, you'd send the friend code, and it would say who sent it to you, their name, and then you'd be like, okay, I'll add that guy.
Okay, I gotta call that guy and ask for his friend code.
Yeah, and then it went to the Wii U where they were like, fuck it, friend codes suck, they're gone, and you're like, good. And you made Miiverse, it was like this huge, like,
awesome.
Online, yeah, it was sweet. And then you're like, with the Switch, you're like, nah, fuck all that stuff. Let's go back to the friend code thing. And you're like, what? What are you doing?
And you can still post to things. You can post to Facebook and Twitter.
And it's
But then no one cares about your Nintendo stuff on Facebook and Twitter.
I know. I don't think Nintendo knows that yet. But anyone who shares a video or a fucking screenshot on PlayStation Network, I'm always like, why are they sharing that on Facebook? It's stupid. Share that on PlayStation and leave it there. And Nintendo, honestly, okay, so that was one really good thing about the Wii U. That was the one. Could you agree that that was like
Miiverse was one of my favorite things on Wii U.
I think that if you looked at my playtime, that Miiverse would probably be more than any games. Other than maybe Wind Waker HD. I played the shit out of that game again.
Me too.
I like had to get 100% in that game. And I still haven't even got 100% in that game, I don't think, but yeah, it was amazing. But yeah, I'm surprised that they got rid of all that. Went back to friend codes. It's crazy. Why would they do that? Where along the line were they like, hey, you know what? Let's fucking do friend codes again. That's like if Sony's like, hey, you know what we should do? Let's do PS2 again. Like, no, you're not gonna do that again. It worked, yeah. It sold a lot of systems, but that part isn't why. It was because it was like new, and that'd be like, let's do standard def. Let's do DVD. Let's
bring back the red, white, and yellow cables.
Yeah, no, that worked back then because it was new. That's why friend codes worked at first, because it was still kind of new and a thing, and it didn't really work because obviously it didn't work because I made 1 million views off of my friend code videos with over 500,000 comments on my friend code videos.
Yeah, it's like one of the only ways to share friend codes.
And that's because I literally was like, hey, I want to get all the fruit in Animal Crossing. And I'm like, I'm going to make a video.
Come to my town and give me your fruit.
Yeah, and then I shared with a few people, and then they shared, and then they shared, and they shared, and they shared, and everyone shared. So, like, obviously, friend codes don't work. They never have. And Nintendo, the only reason that people are fucking playing your games online is because of Chris Fox's gaming community and their friend codes. Right now, okay, like just today, there were like 8 people who commented on my 3DS one. Hey, add me on my friend code. Oh, okay, I'll add you. And then, okay, add me back. And you know what? YouTube's comment system sucks balls for this now.
Yeah, they changed it up, and they made it bad.
So, like, honestly, I don't know if there's a website already out there or not, but it should be, like, friend codes. Nintendo friend codes, even though this sucks.com. Like, they're like, oh, I gotta go to do this. But then you're like, oh, I gotta go on this website. But how do you meet other gamers? You like, through playing online, I guess you can also add people, which is good. And you can add them locally. So you can add them locally. You can add them online.
People you played with.
But you can't just add friends.
Yeah.
Like,
the whole idea. You can't type in their name.
Yeah, the whole idea is like, I want to add my friend text box. So, like, I had to put in his fucking 12-digit code.
And not instead of putting in just text box.
Yeah.
The unique name you have to create.
Yeah, and you already have the name created. You have a Nintendo ID, you have a Nintendo Network ID or whatever, and then you also have a username. And then you have your email. And then you have your password. So you have 5 different things with this thing.
And that's part of what I was getting confused about tonight, trying to merge all my money.
Yeah, to just get
I had
logged
like
in.
2 different accounts. I had so many different combinations of passwords and different names and emails. It was just frustrating.
I just don't get why they went... I still, like, okay, I thought that it was like an Onion post when I read that Nintendo was doing friend codes again.
Alternative news.
Yeah, I literally thought, this is a complete joke. Who posted this shit? Is this Polygon being anti-Nintendo again right now? Because their fucking controllers desync? And honestly... Amazingly, it wasn't them. It was someone else that was like, hey, we're breaking this news. Although Polygon probably has something to say about it. But the big thing for me is you don't do that with anything. Like systems, I don't care. I feel like, I don't know if you can agree, Textbox, but I feel like the Switch is somewhat unpolished because I feel like it's almost empty.
The network thing is empty.
Yeah.
It's empty of eShop, Internet Explorer, or in this case, Safari.
It's just
correct friend code usage.
It's missing a lot. Like,
yeah, there's nothing.
Like, for example, okay, so here's a little example. So I went in and I logged in to do the me. And I started making them. I'm like, oh, me creator. And it's just a generic, like
maybe 36 faces.
Yeah, choose your faces. Like, it's like still the creator part, of the me. It's more like the 3DS one. But it doesn't have like the music, boop, it doesn't have any of that shit going on. It's literally just quiet and then just click.
Yeah, I'm personally kind of glad there isn't idling menu music, because that got really annoying on the Wii and Wii U. But I do love the sound effects whenever you click on anything. Like, every option has different copy sound effects, or little noises.
So the main menu not having a sound, like a system sound, is fine. I mean, if they had a little something like in the background, like a something, that'd be okay. But you don't need it. But when you're in like a Me Maker or that, like an application like eShop, there should be music. There should be something playing to signify, hey, I'm here. I'm making a me. Hey, I'm here. Or else what's next? Like, they're gonna put Mario out and they're just like, fuck it, no sound. They're just like, you just hear like Mario's stupid like, and then boom. Boo!
Only the sound effects. You're like, oh, this game must be broken or something.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with the code.
You'd be like blowing on the cartridge or something, to get the dust off.
Blowing in the Joy-Cons. I don't know.
But I'm like, okay, I get. So this is what they meant by their wanting to include every generation Nintendo stuff. They're like, let's do friend codes, because that was part of Nintendo. And I'm like, no. And so far, so they said with the Switch, it's like a little bit of everything. Because, like 2 players out of the box. You have 2 Joy-Cons. The first Nintendo
had, 2 controllers. I think Super Nintendo did too. And 64 I don't think did.
No, 64 did not, for sure. But, so, anyway, they're trying to do every little thing, right? One little thing. But I feel like that of all the Nintendo systems that have come out since, of the Wii and after. So, after GameCube. I think that this one is the most bare bones. Like, this is the most, like, there's not a lot of features. There's no game pack-in. The Wii had Wii Sports as a pack-in. There's no, the Me Maker is very generic. Even the Wii was like, we can do that. There's no Netflix. There's no Hulu. Nothing like that.
Yeah. And that's like the perfect thing, because you can put that on tablets, phones, regular consoles. Yeah, it's on the 3DS, on the Wii U.
Miiverse is on the 3DS.
Yeah.
So I feel like right now, this system launched with very minimal support on the software side. So I think that they just wanted to get the hardware out there. Let's get it out, push it out, and we'll start updating it.
Or maybe there's still a lot of bugs with it.
And they're probably, there's no way they're not going to have Netflix and Hulu applications. They're totally going to. Especially if this thing kind of starts selling. And then they need to have new exclusive games, too, coming out. Other than, they got Mario Odyssey, which is great. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's a new exclusive. But I want to see something like, hey, what's coming out from these third parties? You said Elder Scrolls, but what's a new game? Like, where's the new game coming out?
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing I've seen so far. Xenoblade 2, I think.
Yeah, but that's like, I'm sure they're like published by Nintendo.
Yeah, they are.
But anyway, that's just a kind of extra. Maybe we'll look at that in the future, on a future podcast. But yeah, that's all I really had for this show. I don't know. What about you?
But I'm still super pumped to just play Zelda. I'm off for a couple more days. I got my Switch. Overall, I think I'm more excited about it now that I have it than I was just reading about it. I was kind of like, I don't know. But it was definitely worth the purchase.
I'm just happy to play Zelda like crazy. The problem... Okay, and this is the other problem. Before I go, my last final closing thoughts, guys, I promise. Zelda is not an exclusive on the Switch. I could literally go get it on the Wii U and still play the same game as the Switch one.
Yeah.
And I've heard it runs basically the exact same.
No, when you go out of the menus, it takes a while to load again.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that I've heard at all.
You know how many times I go into the Zelda menus?
No. Not the Zelda menu.
Just
the
the map?
home menu.
Oh, the home menu, that's right.
Yeah, it's the home menu. That's it.
I never go in that menu.
Yeah, so it's like, who cares? But the graphics, like comparisons and stuff, like they're all very much like, it's all the same.
Still HDMI.
Everything's still HD. It's still 1080p. It's not like 4K or anything now. But that's the only other thing. So right now, the only exclusive Switch game is fucking 1-2 Switch. Because, I mean, Bomberman, okay, yeah, Bomberman. But that's a fucking Bomberman game. Okay, I'm sorry, it's Bomberman. It's not like it's in 3D, and it's not like it's something special because of the Switch. It's just another Bomberman game.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought it, but, you know. That's because there's nothing else. But, that's my closing comment, so I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.